Hello, my darlings. My name is Brooke, and I'd like to welcome you to the second episode of Fangirl Corner. So, for those of you who do not know, today is Friday, May 12th, when the series Anne with an E premieres on Netflix. It is a show made by Moira Walley-Beckett, who was one of the producers on Breaking Bad, and it is an adaptation of my favorite book series from when I was a little girl, Anne of Green Gables. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, was my love for Anne and the passion for it. So for those of you who don't know, Anne of Green Gables was a series of novels written by a woman named Lucy Maud Montgomery in the turn of the century. The first book, Anne of Green Gables, came out in 1908. And it's about a little girl named Anne Shirley who's been an orphan her entire life, passed around from family to family to family, until one day she gets adopted by this brother and sister, Matthew and Marilla Cuthbert, and taken to a small village on Prince Edward Island in Canada called Avonlea, and taken to live at their home called Green Gables. What Anne does not know when she's first being taken to Green Gables is that Matthew and Marilla originally wanted a boy to help Matthew around the farm and stuff like that. Marilla has the house tied down. And so when Anne first gets there, she encounters yet again the thing that she's encountered all her 11 years of life. That no one really wants her. Until Matthew convinces Marilla to keep her. And she goes from, as it's put in the book, this heart-hungry, lonely little orphan who cries herself to sleep the first night she's told she can't stay in Green Gables, to this great pillar of her community, and how everyone grows to not see her as just this strange little orphan girl, but this person to be loved and cherished. And I read Anne of Green Gables for the first time when I was 7 years old. There was a series of it, on, like a little cartoon series of it on when I was really little. And I'll never forget the first time I encountered the book. I was in Barnes & Noble with my dad, and I'd been watching the TV series for a while. And I loved Anne because she's plucky and she's smart and she talks a lot and knows a lot more than what the adults give her credit for. And there was a little girl who that meant a lot to. And so I was in Barnes & Noble with my dad one day, and I remember pointing to a shelf up in the kids section, saying, "Daddy, Daddy, look, it's Anne! Daddy, it's Anne!" Because even as young as she was, she meant so much to me. Anne, like I said, is plucky and smart, and one of her big failings is that she talks too much and when she's little, especially. The books start when she's 11. Especially then, she tries to sound really smart. She reads a lot, and she's odd and a little awkward, and she doesn't fit in right away. And to a little girl, to me, who was awkward and odd and read too much and talked too much and didn't quite fit in, Anne meant the world to me, even though I have two very kind, loving parents who I know would do anything for me, and I love them for it. It was nice to have a little girl just like me in books. And Anne led to characters like Jo March from Little Women and Jerusha Abbott from Daddy Longlegs, but Anne was my first. I didn't end up reading the other Anne books until I was a little bit older. My parents gave me a copy of Anne of Avonlea when I was 8 for Christmas, and then my 6th grade teacher was selling giving away old copies of her books from her library in her classroom, and the third Anne book was in there, Anne of the Island, which is my reigning favorite, because that was the first time I really considered Gilbert as an option the same way Anne does. And Gilbert especially has become so important to me in the fact that he loves Anne so devotedly and only ever wants what's best for her. And when she tells him, like, I can't marry you because I don't love you, and the first time he proposes to her in the 3rd book, he respects that. For me, Gilbert Blythe is my Mr. Darcy. Like, he I joke around that he's the unfair standard to which all other men are held. I'm sure I've probably said that before. But as I've gotten older and had my fair share of having to be both Anne and Gilbert, I've understood how to treat people by the way Gilbert treats Anne. And I want someone who I could love like that. Someone I could love that devotedly in the way God sees fit, you know? And then I read all the books throughout 7th grade, and Anne is she's a reminder to people who are a little out of place that you don't always have to stay that way. And it might take work, and it might be a long road to acceptance of not only your past but your current self, but that it can be done. And so Anne very much means the world to me, and through talking about this, I hope you guys have some kind of interaction with her. I mean, there are books, there are, miniseries under the sun, the most famous being the 85 miniseries with Megan Follows playing Anne. My personal favorite right now is actually the Green Gables Fables web series, which is where I got my shirt. And there's also Project Green Gables, and there's Anne with an E, and I haven't watched it yet. I'm waiting for my friend Carolyn to come. So I guess what I'm getting at is Anne is just a sweet, delightful little girl who has meant the world to me since I was a little girl myself. There's a bunch of musicals about her, and one of my big audition pieces is actually from one of those musicals. It's called Someone Handed Me the Moon Today. And Anne was the first character that I understood. As she would say, she was my first kindred spirit. And I hope you go look for her too, because she would love to have you as a kindred spirit. So, my kindred spirits, I hope you have a nice day, and I'll see you later.